Hey guys, so Lord here, back in with another action figure review, and as promised in the Turantulis video I uploaded earlier today, we are now going to be taking a look at the Hasbro Transformers Legacy series, Voyager class, Inferno, the Big Papa Fire Ant, the final member of the OG Predacons from good old Beast Wars, the mighty Beast Wars. Love Beast Wars. It's what got me back into Transformers after they stopped doing figures from the 2007 Transformers movie. I mean, I'm sure they've come out with a couple variants since then, but I pretty much have all the 07 movie figures. So when they announced that they were revamping the Beast Wars characters, I'm like, I'm all in. And for the most part, I got most of them. I'm missing a few pieces, but not a whole lot. That said, Inferno comes with this gun, which has multiple barrels on it. It does not spin much like Rhinox's. You can put it in his hand. It's got some ports on the side. So I guess if you wanted to combine it with Turantulis' guns, you could snap those on there. It's got a peg on the back. You could potentially, picking him up here, peg this into his buttocks here, which has all kinds of moving parts. I just leave mine folded up like this, because I don't know what to do with all this back here. It doesn't really fold up onto his back. It doesn't really do much other than just sit there. So I just kind of leave it like that, and it works for me. It takes up not a whole lot of space, despite how big and chonky it is. So I'm totally okay with that. But as far as Inferno goes, he's got this... He's got some horns on his head, it looks like. He's got some Beelzebub stuff going on there. His head is on a ball joint, though, so you can rotate it. You can look up and down. Tilt a little bit. Not really. It's kind of just bent in the peg. So be careful with that, I guess. Nah, it's not bending. Nothing. Never mind. I'm tripping. That's all. His arms, they are on the standard ball joints and things. They do hinge out. They go back down. They do have a bicep twist. He's got a double jointed elbow, which is kind of fugly looking, but he is a Transformer, so probably more so for transformation than function, as I almost drop his butt. Holy cow. He does have swivel in the wrist. I will say his legs get in the way more so than the other bug fellas. Much like Waspinator, which I would argue this guy is like an upscaled Waspinator in a way. A little bit. Just because he's got the butt hanging off the back, the legs fold into the butt. The arms kind of fold underneath the main torso here, the abdomen. And then the head just kind of hangs off the front there. Unlike Waspinator, though, his tab's in worth a darn, so you don't got to deal with that. The antennas do hinge up and down in this mode. You can have them down like that if you want and give them, I don't know, elongated nipple things. He does have a waist twist, I think, but it's up here, right there. He does have T-jointed hips that kick out, back down, forward and back. Really skinny legs. Wimpy skinny legs, kind of loose in the thigh cut area, and then he's kind of loose in the knee. He does have a double knee though, so I guess that's good. But yeah, kind of loose in the knee. You kind of shift them, get them into a bug mode, but they don't. Oh, I'm stupid. I didn't snap them in. Professionalism. You don't get that here. I said that in the Turantulis video. But when you snap the knee in, he doesn't get a double knee. But if you unsnap it, you get a double knee. And that kind of stiffens things up. So I'm a liar, okay? He's still back heavy. He's got this big arse hanging off him. So take that into account. He does have rockers in the feet, though. As well as some hinge. It's mostly in the front. He doesn't have a full-on hinge. So that kind of stinks. But hey, his legs aren't loose now. Yippee! But yeah, man, I don't like this guy as much as Tarantulas, but I will tell you, it is one of the better Transformers I've gotten my hands on recently. I do like him quite a bit. Well, not recently. I've had him for a while. What am I talking about? the past year, I'll say, because I don't buy all the Transformers figures in the world. I save that for people like my good buddy Evil Villain. He buys a lot of old-fashioned TFs. He buys a lot of the G1 stuff. He's into Beast Wars too, but the G1 stuff he buys, and then when he upgrades them, he sends them to me. So I have a pretty sick G1 collection thanks to him, so shout out to him. Always pleasure talking with him. Friend of the channel, of course, as you might know. I will say, he is kind of tricky to stand. But once you get him standing, he does stand. But getting him there is a little hard. Not gonna lie. There you go. Giving him his gun, though, that's easy enough. It just goes right into his hand here. Again, I think you could plug it into his butt, but that's a little complicated. So we're just going to put it in his hand there. And we're going to do some size comparisons. I didn't mention this in the Tarantulas video, but we're doing size comparisons a little differently with Transformers because there's already 3 clips I got to splice together. We're just going to do the robot mode stuff all in one clip and the beast mode stuff all in one clip. So here he is alongside the only other Predacon in this Legacy series that I know of anyways, Tarantulas. My favorite of the two. And then we have Tarantulas' sister. They're not actual siblings, but very well could be. There's Black Arachacacnia. Looking very, very small. Very, very small. Almost a core class. And then we have the old Waspinator with his plans. Gotta love Waspinator. His goofy crackhead voice. Then we got Scorponok, who is too darn short. He should have been a Voyager, like Inferno here. I don't know why he isn't. It's very weird. So, putting them out of the way. Of course, it would not be an Overlord Productions video. A good old brother Mandibulus. And the infamous 11 Spawn, who is still too gosh darn tall. Oh no, he's just barely on cam. Look at that. I was going to say he's a little cut off on the top of the head there, but no, you can see my backdrop right above his noggin. So he just barely fits. With all that being said, let's now move right along and take a closer look at good old Inferno in his beast mode. Taking a closer look at the big bad fire ant Inferno in his quote-unquote beast mode. I don't think fire ants are beasts, okay? Tarantulas, I can give you a pass there, Hasbro, but I don't think fire ants are beasts. It's a bug, but I don't know if these guys are predatory or carnivorous or anything, so I'm going to just say that this is kind of lame. Especially since we never, like, the Predacons lacked a lot of predators. Like, there was no wolves, there was no sharks, there was no... there were some dinosaurs. There were some spiders. You got that. There was no bears or, you know, some psycho, like, aquatic creatures. And there was no lions or tigers. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. There's a lot of bugs. A lot of creepy crawlies. And this guy is a definition of a creepy crawly. He's a big arse fire ant with a flippin' gun on his back, which kind of sucks that this is literally where this goes, because he's got this big arse here, this big thorax, and it doesn't store in there. It literally just plugs into the top. I mean, most of these Beast Wars figures have been pretty clever with weapons storage, with the exception of, at this point, really, Tigatron. But the Tarantulas figure, you could literally store his weapons inside of him, or at least on the undercarriage, so you didn't see him and stuff. This guy, you can't do any of that. It just literally plugs onto his back. He does have a little articulation, though. His head moves up and down. His mandibles actually articulate. The antennas, if you want to count this as articulation, they do move as well. They can hinge up and down. And his legs have some. I would say he's a lot more limited than the spider and or arachnids in this line. They each have like ball joints and individual legs. He doesn't have that. Speaking of which, though, if we move him here, you can compare him to the only other Predacon released in the Legacy line that I know of anyways, is good old Turantulus. Again, still trying to provoke you by saying his name funny like that, but I'd say of the two, Turantulus is my guy. That guy is awesome. I did a review of him earlier today. Check that out if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it if you did. Let's actually move him over a little bit more. There we go. Let's compare him to another creepy crawly. We got good old Waspinator with his plans. So I bumped the camera there. I would say these two have a lot in common. Inferno feels like a jumbo Waspinator. Way different transformations, though. It's not like Black Arachacacnia and Turantulus, where they kinda, sorta share, I would say, skeletons, and have some things in common as far as transformation goes, mostly because the vintage toys were like that. But here it's two totally, completely different animals. And speaking of which, since we just mentioned her, here's Black Arachacacnia. And you can see she is freaking tiny. She is really small. She almost feels like a core class, as opposed to a deluxe, but she's a little bit more complicated than that, so she gets that $20 price point. And then we have the guy who should have been a Voyager class, but for some reason wasn't. We got Scorponok, who looks awesome. In Beast mode, he looks awesome. In Robot mode, he's too freaking short. I wish he was bigger. That said, I do have my other Predacons handy, and we'll do a group shot at the end, much like we did with the NECA Gargoyles Manhattan Clan last week. Which, again, I worked really hard on that video. So we'll do a group shot. I'm not sure if I did that for the Maximals or not. I kind of think I did, but I honestly couldn't tell you, because that was that even earlier this year? No, that was last year. But this, of course, wouldn't be an Overlord Productions video without good old Brother Mandibulus, who, notice, doesn't have toe joints, and old Uncle Al, the infamous MK11 Spawn, who totally ate crap in the last video because he has stupid toe joints. So, again, those of you who like those, you're fools, you're morons, you're idiotas. Because they're useless and stupid and get loose and cause things to fall down and give me an aneurysm. So, with all that being said, now I'm done smack talking half my audience. Let's now move on and wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and of the two Predacons released in this Transformers Legacy series, while I do still think that Turantulus is my favorite of the two, I still really like Inferno, and having him to complete my Predacon team makes me really, really, really happy. Did I mention? Really happy. That said, this guy was a little tricky for me to get a hold of. He sold out on Big Bad Toy Store, which is where I got Turantulus. Luckily, the old man came through and found him at a Wally World one day, randomly, sometime this spring. So, yeah, kind of lucked out there because he was getting kind of pricey and pretty hard to track down. But that said, I'm really glad I managed to pick one up for myself. I'm happy to have him. I'm super glad I'm able to complete my Predacon lineup. And before we end this review, there's one final thing we gotta do first. And as promised, there's the money shot. Predacons Terrorize. Now, I don't know how many more money shots I'll be able to give you guys on this channel in the near to distant future, but I figured this week, this one was a pretty worthy one to set up, and quite frankly, it was much easier than setting up the NECA Gargoyles Manhattan Clan. Again, I beg you to watch that Elisa Mazza review, because I worked really hard on that, trying to squeeze all those giant wings into one frame was not an easy feat. And this was a little tricky too, because a lot of these guys are different shapes and sizes, although for being the big bad Predacons from the very beginning of Beast Wars, that's why good old Dinobot's hanging out here. A lot of shrimps, a lot of little people here, a lot of squirts and little teapots, short and stout. I really wish they made Scorponok a Voyager. I really do. I think that would have helped balance things out, because when you look at the Maximals, there's like, what, 4 of them, if you count Dinobot, who are Voyager class, and I can only assume that the inevitable Silverbolt will be a Voyager class as well. So, Predacons, granted, they got a leader class in Megatron there, but a lot of bugs and a lot of little people. So, very interesting. Usually the villains are a little larger. At least that's how it was in the '07 movie, especially with the studio series releases. But I figured I'd do my due diligence and give you guys a look at the completed Season 1, or even pilots, Predacon team. I'm really hoping we get Rampage at some point. That's one of the main ones that I can remember offhand anyways that we are missing. It'd be really cool to get him. That, and who doesn't want a giant crab transformer? I do. Hopefully he's a Voyager class. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.